and so are you tuning in again. And another probably controversial topic that we're going to dig into. Ooh, something about the title. Juice Plus is a cult. Made you press play. We had to have a discussion because I was kind of resistant to calling this episode that. And I thought, you know what? I think that people that are really involved won't even look at it or won't even press play. But Terry thought that, no, I think it'll be enough curiosity and enough around the story that if they listen to any of the other episodes, we'll have them wanting actually to learn and hear what we have to say about that.
That, and also because, you know, it's the truth. So, right, there's nothing wrong with speaking the truth. And that's what we strive to do here. And that's what we're going to keep doing. And in that regard, I believe Juice Plus is a cult. One of the leaders in cult activity and cult mentality in the MLM industry.
You guys have heard me say this time and time again. I can't even believe that I'm sitting here on this side of the fence and speaking out in this way and recognizing and acknowledging that I had been in a cult for so many years, and not even just had been a part of a cult. I had been a leader inside of one.
Yeah, I think some of the feedback we've gotten through our MLM content has come from, there's a lot that are reaching out to say, you know, it's been eye-opening for them, and they're hearing it and they understand. There's also been quite a bit of people that want to reach out to tell us how great Juice Plus is, and they shouldn't be lumped in with the rest of the MLM companies. And we just thought it was important to come on and have a discussion. You were in Juice Plus for so long. It was the bulk of your network marketing career, and you have a lot of insight, and you've seen it from both sides now. And one part stepping out and looking at it from a different point of view. And I think it's important to tell the truth from your experience and to address some of the things that come up as to being, you know, people point out, well, Juice Plus isn't a cult and they're not a pyramid scheme or they're not a bad company because of A, B, or C. And you know, oftentimes it's not really true what people are saying, or it's a distorted version of the truth, which is still a lie. So we felt like it was necessary and important to do this episode today.
Yeah, it's a surprising place to be on the other side of the fence, with recognizing actually having been inside of a cult for so long, and not just been inside of it, but also been a leader in it. I mean, it's a wild thing to look at, but it's also been a really helpful thing to recognize, and it helps to take out some of the shame and the guilt and the disorientation that happens when you've been inside something for so long, thinking of it as one way, and to step outside of it and seeing it in a completely different light. I mean, it's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, so calling it what it is, seeing it for what it exactly is, has been helpful to you.
It's been so helpful. It's been so helpful to me to learn more about it and understand that the psychological ramifications, and also to hear other people's stories, that there's so much similarity that also helps helps the sting of just being like waking up from some kind of, just waking up in a way that I hadn't in so long.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's been happening, I think, is eerie when we're watching other people tell their stories about leaving or exiting MLM, and how insanely similar, almost to like sometimes events to a T of their experience, and how similar it is to yours, you know, inside the industry and when you were leaving as well. And sometimes we sit there and look at each other like, whoa, I can't believe. And it points to this, again, this singular hive mind that exists in network marketing. I said it in, I think, the last episode, where I believe that MLM network marketing creates armies of pathological liars that, and you know, they'll they're clones that think the same and talk the same. And we see it so much in the feedback that we get, like any feedback that's criticizing you or criticizing me for speaking out, they all have the same 5 points. You know, they all talk about the same few things that network marketers hold on to. They all have the same justifications. And it's just really, really interesting to see that and examine it from the cult mind perspective of why that is, and have understanding of how people could be there, and have understanding of how you could have been there for so long. And looking at this and recognizing for what it is brings us closer together, because when I have questions, and there has been some times where, you know, we're going through it and we're having the discussions, and I've been critical of you, and not meaning to, but just it comes out like critical, like, how could you believe this? And really we'd have to have discussions around that and wrestle with it a little bit. And knowing how has brought us closer together, because there's an understanding there that might not have existed without having these conversations, and without the people that are doing the content already that we've dove into, and the way they've explained it, like Julie Anderson and Brandy Hadfield, and the, you know, the couple that we were talking about that had left Amway, and hearing those experiences and go, oh, holy crap, like there really is a cult mindset that exists in MLM, and that is the reason why you were able to overlook so much for so long and stay involved.
Well, something sparked what you were saying about that hive mind. Duplication is celebrated in the industry. So I remember there was a big team that had kind of come on with a vengeance, and they had this kind of training platform that we then modeled and created this whole framework, like with a startup meeting, with different ways to get to different levels, like just a total thing for duplication. And it was like, oh, wow, you would talk to some of these people on the UK team, and someone that was 7 levels down from the top people that would train everyone would say things exactly the same. And that was celebrated. Like, wow, look at the duplication. That's amazing. That's something we aspire to. And you know, why, when we went to train our team, really, you know, did it in the same way. So everyone had that same kind of duplication. And now to look back on it and see it as like, wow, that's a hive mind.
Yeah. And there's like, obviously when sales strategies in the sales world, you do want to duplicate winning sales strategies, but there should also be an element of critical thinking and thinking for yourself. I just think that Juice Plus, and the reason why we decided to do this episode is, you know, they are often overlooked, I think, when it comes to these types of things. You know, everyone talks about the Amways and the new skin, and there is some Juice Plus, you know, out there, like people talking about it. There's not a whole lot, and it often gets overlooked. So I think it's part of the poll that we had, like Juice Plus, and the comments that we get, Juice Plus is one of the good ones.
And what I fully believed for, you know, up until a little while, like it's kind of a revered one. It's this almost like this little utopic society that's not really as touched by the MLM world, because people are so loyal inside it. There's people that are there 20, 30, 40 years. And the thought of ever leaving, it just isn't considered. And when people do, on that rare time, it doesn't happen in Juice Plus as much as it does in other companies, or it hadn't. I think in the last few years, it has happened a lot more because of instability inside the company that has been, people inside of it have shared with me. So I think it happens more, but for a very long time, it would be very rare. And then the factions that would break off, it would be like, oh, kind of like they're bad. Don't look over there, look over here. Like, why would they ever leave? It's so ludicrous and crazy. And that was kind of the belief system. So I think in lots of ways, it was almost a little bit untouched from the other MLM world where, you know, like the Modairs and the Amaris and all these lateral movers going here and there and everywhere else, that's common practice. It wasn't inside Juice Plus.
Yeah. And you had told me that before, that Juice Plus was, you actually weren't aware of a lot of the other things that go on in the MLM industry with the lateral movements and
the bridge payouts. It was super naive. Again, because I think too, and for many years being grateful that Juice Plus was the first. You know, it was like the good one to fall into. There was a lot of good in there. And it kind of set them outside of the whole MLM world. Even in the company speak of it's a direct selling, it's a virtual franchise. Those were what we called it more than even network marketing. And definitely never multi-level marketing. Right.
Because that's been the narrative that they've pushed for years. Like there's an old document that I was reading, a Juice Plus document from the 90s where that's what it was Jay Martin himself labeling what their structure as virtual franchising. Yeah. It's funny. I will link the document in the show notes. I might even put it up on the screen here in the video when I get to editing. He says, we're in Juice Plus, we're virtual franchisers. And then he says, we're not actual franchisers and we're not actually franchising, but what we do is virtually franchising is what the message is. It's such a contradictory message, right? And you read it and I look and we have all these comments from people that are, even when I first asked you about what is this network marketing thing you do? And you said, well, I started in Juice Plus. You might read about network marketing being bad, but there's good, there's bad, and Juice Plus is a good one. And I said, oh, okay. Great. What juice pills? And I thought, or fruit pills or veggie pills. And I didn't understand any of it. And I think I just went on my merry way. And these comments that we keep running into, people keep giving us from people that are still involved with Juice Plus is, well, that Juice Plus is the good one, Sandy. You know that the company was started with integrity. Jay Martin is a legend. Jay Martin is, he's so revered in Juice Plus. And the company could do no wrong. We have all these clinical studies that say that the product is tested and is really good. And when it comes down to it, a lot of it, most of it, maybe even all of it really just isn't true.
Yeah, I think that's the one piece too that you would see, like Jay Martin is put on this huge pedestal, like this guru-like status. And I'm not saying he's not a good person or not, but there are.
I'll say that.
But there are parts
not a good person
in the history in the startup of the company that are nefarious. It was told to me that he had gone and that when the water filters came, it was brought to him by this widow whose husband's life work it was developing this and had gone to every company that she could find to order to sell it, and they didn't buy it. They didn't say yes to it. She threw it in the dumpster, and then they went and collected it after and ended up making the NSA water filters. Now, I told this story to Terry, and he's like, "That kind of sounds like one of the Kentucky Fried Mouse stories." Either way, that was the story that I'd heard it after I'd been in Juice Plus for quite a long time, and I thought, geez, that just made me question the whole integrity of it. And now looking into what happened with the water filters and stuff, you see it was just a pyramid scheme too. So where is the integrity and the honor in that as well? And the MLM model is such a perfect model in order to,
sell a crappy product.
Yeah.
Overpriced crappy product.
And then further, when you look at Juice Plus and that cult-like following, you literally feel like you're saving people's lives by giving them Juice Plus. You are indoctrinated with nutrition talks and really oh my gosh, if you don't take this, you're going to die. And if your people don't take it, you're doing them a disservice by not getting them on Juice Plus because it's going to help everything. You fully believe that. And then you fully believe that about the business, that it's this thing and thank God for Jay Martin. He's saving us all. And here it's all built on this fragile house of cards too. When we started looking into the freaking research and stuff, my mind was because inside the teachings of the company, like you have a response for everything. If someone tries to poke holes in the research, you say, well, everybody pays for their research. We've got 44 peer-reviewed, double-blind, placebo-controlled research studies. Like, where else has this? It's NSF certified. That means, it's the cleanest of cleans. Like, oh my gosh, what you find when you actually look into it is there are holes in all of this. Was that, you're looking at me like I just went ranty. Did I rant?
No, it's good. I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to take issue with a couple of things you said, right? You said, one of the things you said was, we had a difference of opinion on whether you would consider someone who runs a multi-$100 million pyramid scheme as a good person. I would contend that is not the case. I don't care how much money you donate to charity from your company or how many tax write-offs you get doing that. If you're knowingly deceiving hundreds of thousands of people at the bottom of your pyramid scheme to profit off them at the top, just because you give a little bit of that money back to a charity does not make you a good person in my mind.
Can you say that's true? And can you say more about that? Like, so that people really understand. And if you are in one of these companies or even inside Juice Plus, like, understanding how the whole system is rigged is a really important piece of understanding the fraudulent nature of these kind of companies.
Well, just to start, what was the saying that you told me about the bathtub in Juice Plus? Like, this is a Juice Plus model, right?
I think it's an MLM in general, but yeah, like, there's, if you think of the customers or the people or the teams inside of a bathtub, there's always a little leakage out the drain. So you need to keep pouring more water in and doing what you can to stop the drain.
Yeah. And okay. So, I mean, the way that we talked about it the first time, the way you described it, Juice Plus knows that they're going to have a customer retention problem and a sales distributor retention problem because the products are really expensive. There's no evidence, despite the 41 studies, we'll talk about that suggest that they do anything. Everybody wants to share their anecdotal evidence, but we'll share your experience. You can talk about your experience of what you felt Juice Plus was doing for you to when you stopped and what you realized after. The basic of the pyramid scheme, though, is they sell it as the sky's the limit. It's an endless chain recruitment scheme where apparently you can just keep on recruiting. The people underneath you can recruiting till eventually you make it to the top level, like the other $100,000 a month or the super rich people at the top.
It's an infinity front line. Everybody can make it. Anyone can surpass you.
Right. And it's just not true.
I'm just adding in.
Yeah, no, and that's great. I'm glad you did because that's what that's the lingo in the company, right? In Juice Plus specifically. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is it's just not true. There isn't enough people to fulfill those promises for everybody. And so what happens is the people coming in at the bottom of these lines, if you're not lucky enough to get in at the top or get in early enough, or in Sandy and her partner's case that ran theirs, they were really, really good at recruiting people. And they had an area that's wide open in a time that was ripe for growth with the advent of social media. And they use techniques that are doing that. And they were able to build big teams. They got to a certain level, even then wasn't fulfilling the dream. We've talked about that on the other episodes. And the people at the bottom really are just their money. They're buying in. Their money's funneling up. They're not seeing a lot themselves. I mean, career Juice Plus people, not career, but maybe long-term people that never really ever made more than a couple $1,000s a month and put in a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think people do a lot for recognition in those companies and for titles rather even than
let's speak about Juice Plus specifically then in this context instead of these companies.
In Juice Plus, it was like people would do more for ranks and levels than even, you think, okay, when I get to this level, NMD, I'm going to be making, $10,000 or something like that a month.
What does NMD stand for?
That's the National Marketing Director. That was the top level at the time, still is. And, you're only making a few $1,000s a month and it's kind of,
How much work does it take to get to
so much work? Like you're on the road, you're doing parties, you're going and talking to people all the time. And so it's a lot of work. But at that time, it doesn't even matter because, or for myself, I had a bigger vision and knew where I was headed. So I didn't think I would stop there. And also you start to do more for getting the accolades of the levels and the title and the recognition that brings, more than even the paycheck that would be congruent for the work that you're putting in. Would
you say to get to NMD in Juice Plus would take like full-time work?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right? Like there's no disputing that.
Yeah. Especially if you wanted to do it in a timeline, like in a quick timeline, like that's what I did. Right. It was a quick timeline. So it took a concentrated amount of work in order to do that.
Right. But the work doesn't end there once you get to, because you have 5 lines, you have to balance them out. You have to make sure that, and if people aren't working and it's lowering your numbers, then you have to replace them with other people or bring more people in, or if people drop off. So it's constant. It doesn't just end. You don't just make it to NMD and then you
try and get to the higher levels and then you're still working and managing you add in managing your team alongside everything you need in order to grow the business yourself.
Right. So you had a quick climb to NMD and it was very celebrated. It didn't instantly mean a huge paycheck, but eventually that was able to come for you, right?
Yeah.
And you stayed in that same position for a number of years. You didn't make any more money.
No, it was kind of like, it was very stable, like at that same level, but never, despite all efforts and work and same kind of work ethic, never moving beyond that. And I thought that was a me problem.
Right.
Got to invest in me, got to do more work on me, got to fix myself in order to get to that, break through my glass ceiling. And here, what we've learned as we're learning from all the people that put out content around this industry is that wouldn't have mattered what I did. I wasn't going to get beyond that.
No, and just from the matter of where you were in a line already, and there was going to be no room to move, and that's it, and that's where it stayed. So your job essentially became to keep control of everyone underneath you, as to incentivizing them in a way, and
always trying to
the company speak and the
energize how to. New things that would get people excited to get them active and working.
Yeah, energize is a good word. I think energize could be interchanged with a lot of different words, right? Like really, you're there to shill the dream, to sell the dream, keep selling the dream down line. So then it becomes a matter of the true cost of being involved in this. Because some people might say, well, a few $1,000s a month, or you make it to NMD and you're there for a while making $15,000 a month of where you got to in your case. What's wrong with that? Well, you also, that doesn't include taxes. That doesn't include expenses. And as you said, it was a lot of work, a lot of road work. You have to go to conferences. You have to spend a lot of money. So at the end of the day, the amount of hours you put in, we'll keep it short because we covered a lot of this in the other podcasts. You put in a lot of hours. You had a lot of expenses. Was that $15,000 a month actually $15,000 a month?
No.
Like not even close.
No, not even close.
And then the people at the bottom that are maybe making, let's say anywhere from Juice Plus's own income disclosures will say anywhere from a few $100s a month to NMD. Actually, I believe I'll put the link and I'll probably throw it up on the screen here when I edit the video, but their own income disclosure, NMD, I think the average is $3,400 a month. So if you were getting a paycheck at NMD for $3,400 a month, knowing the amount of hours you got to put into it, the expense it costs to do all the things that you have to do to keep people motivated, and buying product is one of them. We'll talk about that. Is there any way anybody's making money off the average $3,400 a month being an NMD in Juice Plus?
Well, no, not really. And that's really the minority. The majority of people are in that, few hundred to 500, like
at the lower levels.
At the lower levels or the mid leadership, we'll call it.
Yeah.
That's the aspire is that 500 a month. But when you really think about it, if your product is a few hundred a month, plus whatever events you're going to and anything that you need to grow your business, like, yeah, they're not earning anything really. They're doing it for free and hoping on the dream. And that was, we listened to a local couple that was in Amway and hearing their story and how eerie the comparison. And they did some calculation over their time in the industry. And it was like a frightening number of what the investment was versus what came back to them.
Yeah. Their expenses versus what they earned in income. Yeah. And I think they were out over $100,000.
I think it was 170.
It was over in 13 years, right? So I was speaking specifically to NMD because that's, what most people are shooting for that are trying to make a career out of Juice Plus. And it's just, what was the other thing that you told me about being an NMD that you had to do often, buying product to keep your lines topped up or balance your lines? Can you speak to that a little bit as well?
Well, I would do that. Like you had a certain structure requirement. So you need to always maintain that you would have that structure. So if there was maybe a line that didn't have as much volume and needed a top up, I would put an order under them, place an order under them.
You would place an order under them, and would you place that order under your own name?
Oftentimes I would put it under my kid or put it under a fake name.
Okay.
So it wouldn't get flagged.
Can you explain it a little bit, like, so people understand? So let's say you have a rep in your line that needs to meet a certain amount of volume for her to get a promotion.
Yeah, it's if they were going for one of their titles and they were a little bit shy of the volume or the count, then I would place an order under there, and then they could get their title. They would achieve whatever they were going for. That would happen. Sometimes it would happen where, the structure was shaky and one rep, was a little shy of the volume, and rather than like get on them, like go sell whatever, or you're close to this. And sometimes they would try for it and it would just be, they would come up short. So I would just put an order and then they would be at that level. And
right. And is this something that was encouraged by Juice Plus?
I don't know that it was common practice. It's what we learned, going for different titles. And when someone would put an order, an upline would put an order under
like it happened to you.
Yeah. So then that was kind of like, that's what you did. But it was a play in the gray thing. It wasn't like the company saying you should do this. It was kind of like, that's why we put it under different names and stuff. But It wasn't frowned upon.
Well, you had told me that you could actually just call the head office and place the order.
Yeah, sometimes you could call and place the order.
And they would do it for you.
Yeah.
And that person would get their promotion
bonus.
Or it would meet they would get the bonus,
Yeah.
It would meet the volume, and it would cost you money.
Yeah. That would be I would cover that cost, maybe pay in full. And then
like how much
I would get the product and then they would get the volume and the payout for as considered.
How much are we talking here?
Oh, like a pay in full, say trio order, $400, I think at that time or something. Wow. So big chunks of it.
And that's happening a lot in Juice Plus.
Yeah, it was. It has happened over the years for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I know in the last little bit of being there, they were getting a little bit more strict on that. But again, they would play in the gray.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, like, as we're talking about the structure of the pyramid, the pyramid is a shape. Yes, I know all businesses take a pyramid shape, but the structure of that business was designed so that the people at the bottom lose money. So the people at the top can, live lavish lives of luxury is really what it is. And it takes hundreds of thousands of people to lose for the people at the top to win. And that's the bottom line with a company, and Juice Plus is no different. And if anybody wants to tell you different, you can point them to Juice Plus earning disclosures that show exactly that not over 99% of the people in Juice Plus either lose money or make well under minimum wage for the amount of work that they do. Yeah.
And you think that, the people that what we would call as family plans that were just covering the costs of their family's product really, but loved being a part of the community, that was the value that they were getting, was being a part of the community and being a part of the personal growth. And that made it justifiable. But at the end of the day, and in one of our conversations, you said to me like, gosh, if they just took that $300 a month and put it in the bank for a family vacation, or, you know, something for them to do as a family.
Bought fruits and vegetables.
Bought fruits and vegetables, the best thing. Would they have been better off? And it's like, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, what Juice Plus is what? The next best thing? Is that?
The next best, well, the two phrases, the next best thing to fruits and vegetables, and it bridges the gap from what we should eat to what we do eat, was the two main things. The big company motto for the products were inspiring healthy living around the world. And the motto for the company is to help as many people as possible realize their dreams, which again, now even just saying it, like just in this moment, gosh, actually, it was like to help as many people as possible not realize their dreams, so a few could.
Yeah, well, hold on. I thought Juice Plus wasn't a recruitment company. So what dream is it that they're helping people realize, to get their 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables every day? Like,
well, that was the business model, the company business model.
I know. I'm just saying, help people realize their dreams. It tells you right there. It's like they're selling the dream just like any other MLM company. They're not the innocent, as the Juice Plus, faithful want you to believe. They're not the innocent and the good MLM. So yeah, realize the dreams. I just get a kick out of I can't get over the next best thing to fruits and vegetables. Like, hey, take this manufactured in a lab. And if anybody was wondering what lab, it's called NIA.
This was really interesting.
NAI, laboratory. It's just a manufactured, I don't know exactly how they do it. I know there's some sort of slurry and then they make it into powder. Or you could save your family's $400 and something a month, and you could literally just, buy fruits and vegetables. And if you really want to have fruits and vegetables. So I personally don't get I don't even get the premise of the company in the first place. I don't understand. Like, I do understand what they're trying to say. I don't understand anyone that would say, and this isn't a criticism. I'm just saying, I don't get it. I've tried looking at it from every angle where someone comes to me and says, hey man, I got these juice pills. I mean, they're almost as good as fruit and vegetables, but not quite, but you can take them so you don't have to eat the fruits and vegetables. It's probably going to cost you like 5 times more than just eating fruits and vegetables. If I really wanted my fruits and vegetable servings or believed in that, I just don't see how I wouldn't just eat my fruits and vegetables. So
well, they play on people's like knowing that they don't get enough fruits and vegetables, and it plays on like recognizing that you should, and so much that it could save your life and help your kids. And so it's like, when you go to the talks and you learn about it, you at the end are like, holy smokes, like I better do myself a favor. And this is something that can help even more. And the company says, like, keep eating your fruits and vegetables, but this is something that's going to help you even more. And so you get swept up in it. What I would like you to share is the things that you because again, it's like the research, you like live and die by the research. And I wasn't even a sciencey person, so I never looked at it, but I was glad that it was there. And
yeah. Hey,
science people.
You got to check out the research. I mean, I never have, but you should. And then buy my next best thing to fruits and vegetables.
Smart people with science degrees looked at it and said it was great. But again, in the investigative journalist style that you have in you went and did some digging. And so can you share a little bit about what you found out about that research and who conducts that research? Because again, part of the company speak is, if someone says, well, they don't pay for their research, I've got a quick answer. Who would? Of course they don't pay for their research, but it's at these reputable institutions. So they would never put their name on anything that wasn't fully legit. Well, to say my investigative journal, that's such a stretch. That's not accurate at all. And a lot of people actually
that are
Humble alert.
No, that are very smart, that have done all this kind of research and put it out there for guys like me to read. So let's start with that because that's the truth of it. I don't want to mislead anybody.
Did you hear when I led you in? I said, okay, and insert you, which was that a Freudian slip?
Yeah. So you start looking at these studies and you can see right away, like conflict of interest is the first one. So, briefly, without being long-winded, the early studies were, authored by a guy named John Wise, another guy named Robert Morin. And again, this is all information that's available already that someone else has done the research. They were part of a company called United Science of America. United Science of America was actually another MLM that went bankrupt after really being, torn apart by the government of the USA, which is ironic. United States of America, United Science of America, for making false and deceptive claims about all their products. And once they were forced to make a whole bunch of changes to the way that they operated their business and the things they were saying about their products that were just unfounded, not true, and under scrutiny from tons of nutrition experts, universities, calling these guys out for making false claims, saying their products, and there was a supplement and vitamin company saying their products did these things that they didn't do, and they had a whole bunch of celebrity endorsements. They went bankrupt because they're like, oh, well, we can't lie about our product anymore. So, this looks like we're kind of out of business, which is, we'll get to a familiar story with Juice Plus. So this guy, John Wise, who was part of United Sciences of America, went to work for a company called NAI. He authored, in the meantime, a bunch of the studies that Juice Plus claims as their clinical research. Then he went to work for a company and even became a shareholder and a vice president of product research and development that was hired by Juice Plus to actually manufacture the Juice Plus capsules. So, I mean, right off the bat, you have a huge conflict of interest. And John Wise and Robert Morin, these two gentlemen that were part of USAI, the failed MLM supplement company, have their names on a lot of studies that are funded by, actually, not even NSA. Sometimes they're funded by NAI itself, so which is really interesting. Now, Juice Plus accounts for 16% of NAI's total revenue as a company producing Juice Plus pills for Juice Plus. So if you can't see that as a conflict of interest, I don't know how else you can help. So that's not all the studies. Then you can get into, there's so much more. And for every study,
anyone that's listening, that's
yeah. And for everything you can see or find where someone says here, like points to these clinical studies, Juice Plus, that's their biggest thing, is like, we're the company with the studies. It shows that it does everything we say. There's not actually a lot of studies that really give hard evidence confirming what Juice Plus claims about their products. And in fact, Juice Plus has been warned multiple times about their reps making false claims, about them as a company making false claims and having to change their wording. Or how many times when you were part of the company was their direction from, hey, don't say this about the products, don't say this about the product. You're not allowed to
make health claims, like specific health claims.
Well, you told a story yourself of how you wanted to attribute, or you used to attribute, your daughter's kind of skin eczema,
but I would never say eczema. I would always call it skin issues.
Right, but you would sell Juice Plus as, it helps my daughter's skin issues, is what you would say.
Mm-hmm. Because at that time, I thought that it had.
Right. But that's a good question, though. Like that brings up a good point. I would want to ask you then, did you just avoid publicly saying it helped her eczema, and publicly you would keep it to skin issues? Would you say to people, like, let's say face to face, like, yeah, I give this to my daughter and it helps her eczema? Was there kind of two ways, or?
I think that there would have been two ways. Yeah.
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 And I think that's common with a lot of the reps as well. I think it's the common practice. So, the studies, Juice Plus, the studies, even the children health study that everyone points to, they do so much work with their children health study.
So good.
Yeah.
Give away so much free product.
You know, there's cancer institutes that have come out and say, we don't buy into the children's health study because it's not a study. It's just a survey, and it's a survey done by people who are really receiving a benefit, which is free Juice Plus product. And then you can get into, I'm going to link a couple videos. I might post a video here if I can get the proper permissions for it. But, you know, nutritionfact.org has a video up where they go through some of the Juice Plus studies and show that what they even claim to be a benefit in the study, when you actually read the study, shows that there was no benefit at all. I think that one was with cholesterol. And then there's another one where in 2005, the University of California, Berkeley campus wellness letter came out openly chastising Juice Plus for their study, saying that they made these claims. And on review, you can't even find the claims are false. That they were saying, look, this study shows, and the people that were paid by NIA in these specific studies, NAI in these specific studies, making these claims saying the study showed this, when they went and read the studies and went through the studies, that the studies didn't actually confirm what they were saying they did. And they were just straight up lying about it. So I always go with, when I'm trying to discern for myself the truth. And it comes down to this. If all of those things were true about Juice Plus, then why would they ever need to lie even about one thing? And I think that's the question that anyone can ask themselves when trying to figure out for themselves and make a decision for themselves. I'm not here to tell you that you have to believe that the studies aren't good. I would encourage everyone to maybe look at the studies for themselves. There's so much information, and ask yourself that question. If it was so good and it did so many things, why would there ever be a need to even lie at all? Even about one thing. If they were so great and it did all these things, why would you have to lie once? And it's not a matter of, well, maybe they didn't lie, maybe they did. They have been caught lying. It's out there for everyone to see. The same way that NSA, the original water filter, the original company with water filters, was caught lying in the 80s, caught lying to its distributors, recruits, lying to its customers, was, you know, involved in many class action lawsuits, was sued by 10 states in the United States for, you know, their practices of getting people to stockpile water filters, not refunding people when they couldn't sell the water filters, all sorts of creepy stuff that happened before Juice Plus that coincides ironically with a time frame that all of these things happened to NSA, to where one paper I read that was written by a lawyer named Jeffrey A. Babner questions at the end, will NSA be able to recover from these judgments against them, these settlements with the states, the class action lawsuits? And sure enough, not even 2 years later, they've totally pivoted the whole entire company to Juice Plus as the new thing, maintaining their pyramid scheme MLM structure. So it's again, if you have the ability to have some critical thought and see these things and look at them, I'm sure, as most people do, they look at them and they say, okay, this is not something I want to be involved in. But now if you're in a vulnerable state in your life, in a vulnerable position, and you're being told all of these good things and not given any of this information, you're not seeing it for yourself, and you're buying into the kind of cult speak and the corporate cult lingo that they use, and the capitalist language that they use, that, oh, that makes sense. And you're not really the type of person that goes and looks into things for yourself. I can see how it would be really easy to believe all these claims, but to just take them at face value when they're presented to you and just not looking at them objectively and making a decision for yourself does point to the fact that so many people have been brainwashed by the cult speak of Juice Plus that they are willing to ignore these things completely. Even you. I
would have been. I did. And I have, up until a little while ago, even too, someone would say, but my experience with health, that my kids didn't get sick that often. I think in lots of ways I didn't allow them to get sick. Even myself, I even remember, this is a funny story. I don't even know if I told you, but I remember I did this breast thermography, which was like this non-invasive way that you can, I don't know. It was someone that came to do a talk at the studio. And so I did it. And then she had seen something and sent me for more tests at the doctor's. And I was so in Juice Plus that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even care if I've got breast cancer. It'll just make my story that much better.
Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah. Because I'll heal myself.
Yeah. And speaking to you told me that too. Well, Juice Plus, my kids never got sick, but I've seen with my own eyes how you operate when people get sick. You are just, everyone could be like, yeah, you're in denial. People could be
I'm just fighting something.
Yeah. I've seen you like with a fever, barely able to move, and like, oh, I'm just coming down with something, but I think it's just the beginning stages.
Yeah.
And just not allowing yourself to be there at all. And I honestly, when I look back at it, we chuckle now, but I'm sure it's tied into Juice Plus of like, no way, I can't, because that's
my business card.
Yeah, this is what I tell her. I'm not sick.
But
I've seen you walk around white as a ghost, pouring sweat, going, I'm good, I'm fine. Well,
I think, again, sheesh. It's a crazy thing to untangle. Like, what, even just you asking a few questions of, actually, during my time in Juice Plus, I was the most unhealthiest. I was the most overweight. What's that about? Yes, there was stresses in my life, and that was a contributing thing, and my own issues. But there's got to be a correlation, like that plant-based way of life. I was taking high levels of Juice Plus, like when in my pregnancy, I was taking like 8 of each capsule. That's a lot.
But, Juice Plus hasn't proven to be toxic, and we're not saying that either. But really what the information to me, when I examine it all, what it points to is it really doesn't do anything. It won't harm you, except for the fact that it will take a few $100 out of your wallet every month for your family. And if you get involved in selling it, well, you can spin your wheels for quite a long time, spending money, thinking that one day it might turn around for you and you might make money, which is proven over and over again to not be the case for 99% of the people that get involved.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And I encourage anyone that's listening to check out some of the links we're going to share in the show notes and do some fact finding for yourself. And maybe this whole episode triggered the hell out of you and you are in total resistance to even hearing any of this. And that's okay too. Like, I get that. I would have been there for a long time, but maybe something went in and it'll draw you to press play on one of the videos. And I think it might be really eye-opening.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said. Juice Plus, in my mind, it is a commercial cult all the way. It is, I think, the level of dedication that people have to the company as well, as you alluded to. It's not one of the ones where people are moving around. It's not part of the lateral movers. And interesting, when I was reading about NSA, one of the class action lawsuits against NSA, the original water filter company, was that the company wasn't just a pyramid scheme. It was actually made up of many pyramid schemes. And they would run that pyramid, that section of the company. You think about this, all the lines and down lines. And even in Juice Plus for you guys, you had to have 5 lines, correct? Is that how it worked? So you think about that, it is not just a pyramid scheme. It's a bunch of mini pyramid schemes. And I think this can go a long way to explaining why the company can stay profitable and the guys at the top and the people at the top make money and the people at the bottom are just losing money, because eventually that structure has to collapse because you run out of people, right?
Oh yeah, this is really interesting.
So then what they were actually claiming is that the company had the ability, as one of the pyramids disintegrated and fell apart, and all of those people in that pyramid lost everything and lost all their money, as long as the company could replace that with another one. So new recruits coming in. So there is where you would have your 1% success rate. because that would be a new recruit happens to be in a spot, and now he can start recruiting and he can build his own pyramid up. And so he's kind of not at the top because he's still always underlined, but it will get him to a place where maybe he's like what you were, making that $10,000 or $15,000 a month, pointing to everybody that he's recruiting how rich and how amazing he is, which the company encourages. This is the dream, I'm making it. And he builds his pyramid, and that one goes until it falls apart. And then they have just new recruits filling that. So it's not just one pyramid. It's they alleged in that lawsuit there was as many as 500 separate pyramids.
Crazy. It's such a wild thing to be looking at now, but it's been so helpful. And I know that it's been helpful for you guys listening, because that's the feedback we keep getting. And that's why we feel compelled to keep putting out this kind of content.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions specifically about Juice Plus, there's definitely, like, we don't have all the answers or know everything about Juice Plus and don't claim to, but there's a lot of things, and we can point you in the right direction if you want to find some stuff out for yourself.
And in an upcoming episode, we'll be doing an interview with Brandy Hatfield, who was actually with Juice Plus, and she had got out and is a psychotherapist in training, and she helps people heal from being a part of commercial cults. And so look her up on Instagram. She does a lot of good work.
Yeah.
Do we feel complete?
I think so.
Thank you so much for tuning in and continuing to listen. Thank you for sharing. Hopefully you'll send this episode to someone and it will help.
Bye.
Bye.